How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, cheers, yeah.
Good, good, good.
Uh, is that you working at is it Leaper, did they call it?
Lipper, Paul
Lipper.
McCartney School. Yeah.
Oh, right, is it what did he found it?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. I think I've seen about that, yeah.
Yeah. It's his old school that he went to and he rescued it from being bulldozed basically and started his own performing arts school.
That's it. So when did he do that?
30 years ago. It's the 30-year anniversary, Harry, this
That
year.
is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll get into all that. Best not to start back to front, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, thanks for asking me to do this.
No, yeah, cheers for jumping on. Yeah, I think I saw you briefly last week, but
Yes.
didn't
Yeah,
get
it
a
was
chance to
quick.
chat or anything.
I know it was really like quick, wasn't it? And kind of like it was a great night though. It was really good.
Yeah, yeah, for anyone listening, that's the Arctic Monkeys night at the British Music Experience, which is this, yeah. Have you been there before?
No, I haven't. I have been in that building, but I've never been to the British Music Experience.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? I think they need like doesn't seem to be like a noughties indie section as such.
I know, I know. Someone approached me saying they were writing a book about that era, and then I didn't hear back. But
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
people are getting onto it.
Yeah, I know, yeah. All right, well, let's go back then, like for a bit of context on everything. Like how did he end up being in the Little Flames? Like what was the build up to it kind of thing?
So I started the band, the original band, the lineup, and it was me and a few others in Liverpool, and like we were terrible. We did a few gigs, and then I did a gig. I think I did. Oh, what were we doing now? I think it was a night at the Jacaranda, which is a brilliant venue in Liverpool, which is still going now. And there was a night on in the basement there, and I met Matt Gregory, who is a founding member of the Little Flames, and he said, "Let's start the band again." And so yeah, we met, and then just me and him were doing gigs around Liverpool, acoustic gigs. And in one of the gigs at Hannah's Bar, which is gone now, sadly, on in Liverpool, we were Alan Wills from Delta Sonic, the label in Liverpool that um, the Zootons and the Coral and everyone was signed to. That he was in the audience. I think there was three people in the audience, and he was one of them. I just saw this fella really into it, and like I think he had flip flops on, and I was like, and at the end of the gig, Matt said, "Oh, that's Alan Wills from Delta Sonic," and I was like, "No way!" So you never know who's watching you. And he contacted us then, and said he really liked what he'd seen and was interested in signing us. And then that was it, really.
Well, yeah, sounds pretty straightforward.
It was. I wasn't expecting it, like so.
Yeah, yeah. And just like being in and around Liverpool, is it quite a good place to start a band? Do you feel quite encouraged by kind of the culture of the music in Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, you're brought up with it really. Someone in your family always plays the piano, or there's always parties when you're a kid. There's a lot, you obviously, because of, Liverpool being a music city, you're surrounded by it really. But yeah, your parents and your grandparents usually get you into music, and which mine did. And there's always a piano around a party. So even if like a traditionally, like I wasn't in a choir or I didn't do music at school or anything. But there was, I think, there's always an opportunity in Liverpool to start a band because there's people who are always up for it, and you can have a gig every night in Liverpool if you wanted to. So,
Yeah, yeah. And did you have like a clear idea of the music you wanted to make early on, kind of thing?
not really, no, because I was only, you know, I think I was 20, and so you're still kind of finding out. Like I had a good kind of start. Like my dad got me into a lot of good music, and my mum as well. My mum got me into a lot of Motown and Small Faces, and like my dad was into heavier stuff, like Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and stuff like that. So, but he also got me into craft work when I was little, and so yeah, I had a good back catalogue, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Kind of, yeah. So I didn't really have a clear idea. I just knew I wanted to be on stage and in a band, and going on tour. And, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What about in terms of your voice? And obviously got a great voice. Like when did you like,
Oh.
kind of discover that kind of thing?
Um, when I was a kid, I used to sing, but like not to audiences, and I wouldn't get on the stage. But then, because I thought it was too deep, because a lot of the kids that I was hanging around with, they could all like sing really high and like belt notes, and I couldn't. So I didn't think I could sing. And then it was Matt, I suppose, when I met Matt, and we were just he'd just play along with me with the guitar, and he did encourage me a lot. And then that was it really.
Yeah, and how did it work in terms of songwriting then?
So we wrote together, but he was like the main songwriter. Um, and we'd come up with ideas together. Like I was more into like writing harmonies and melodies, and which I still am now actually. And so we just pracky in his room and then go out and to loads of open mic nights. We were just always performing, and that's how it worked really. So he'd give me the lyrics, and then we'd sit together and just work it out really.
Was that a good way of kind of like honing your craft, just like getting out there and playing type thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even in Lipa now, what I say to our music students, you've just and you've got to get out there and just do as many shows as you can really. And um, when I was at the British Music Experience last week, and I heard Andy talk about the small gigs that they did and how like important they are. And it was something I was saying to the students. It was like that's like the the formative years. They're the best times where you do hone your craft and your stage craft and all the look of it as well. You can try everything out, see what works, see what doesn't. But yeah, those gigs, no matter how many people are there or not, like Andy was saying as well, they even play to like hardly anyone. But yeah, it's dead important to do that, definitely.
Yeah, and like with the kind of indie scene kicking off in the early 2000s, there's like plenty of nightlife that surrounded that in Liverpool. Were you involved in it?
Yeah, we were out most nights. Yeah. I mean, I met one of my really good friends in a bar. She used to work in Heebie Jeebies, which is where we all the bands used to go. Amy Osu, and yeah, I still know her now. She's incredible. But like we forged loads of great friendships, and yeah, the nightlife was brilliant, and all the bands would go to like the same bars, and yeah, there was lots of good nights, lots of good parties.
Yeah, yeah. And then I suppose then when you get involved with Delta Sonic, like how did that change things? Was it like momentum straight away from that point?
With Delta Sound, they kind of like gave us space and time to get like our act together really, and to kind of think about what we really wanted to do. And it was just me and Matt at the time, and I suppose that was a good thing, but also we did need a band, and that's when Alan was like, "Well, I know these two lads, these other two lads from the Wirral, because I'm obviously you can tell I'm from Liverpool, but the other two lads, Matt was from Leeds, and then we've got Joe Edwards on bass and Greg Mile on drums. So he said, you should meet these two lads. They're great. And so we did, and we went for a few drinks, and we really got on with them, and that was it. And so that we started to rehearse, and Delta Sonic were like so supportive and just like got us a practice room and elevator studios in Liverpool, and just let us rehearse and naturally grow really, until our final member joined the band.
But did he kind of sign some sort of deal then, or was it just like an agreement to start with?
Yeah, no, we didn't sign anything. They didn't push us at all. They were just like, we'll just give you time to just, to write really and to practice. And we practiced like 7 days a week. We were always in the elevator studios constantly. So he just wanted to see how it worked out with the lads as well. And it was in elevator studios that we met Miles. And then we were all practicing one day, and this lad came in, and he was like, "You all right?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm Miles." And we were like, "All right." And we knew he was the Skelly's little cousin, and
Oh,
he
okay.
was from the Coral. And he brought his amp and his guitar, and he never left. So that was it. He came into the practice room. I was going to Spain for a week, So I said to him, nice to meet you. Left, came back, and he was in the band when I got back. So,
Okay.
but we all got on well. We got on really well. We went on a good few nights out together, and yeah, we gelled.
Yeah, yeah. Was there quite a bit of a community with those Delta Sonic bands then?
Yeah, yeah, because most of us like have got relatives in the other bands, or we know each other well, and there's yeah, like the Zootons and the Coral, obviously, and the Dead 60s, Candy Pain. Yeah, yeah, it was like a kind of like a little family, really.
Ah, okay. So what you related to any of them then?
No, I'm not related to any of them, but like Miles is the Skelly's cousin, and Candy Payne is Howie and Sean Payne's sister. So yeah, everyone's kind of knows each other or is related to each other. Liverpool's a small place.
Fair enough. I'm from Hull and it's quite similar there, to be
Oh
fair.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone knows each other in the music industry, don't they? Where you're from? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And then were you playing gigs consistently throughout that time then, or did you take a bit of time to like get things together?
we did practice a lot in elevator studios. So that's where we all got to know each other, and we all got to like, you've got to have that, really, haven't you? Because we didn't like naturally meet as a band. Um, we were brought together. But
Ah, okay.
so it took us time to get to know. So we had a lot of nights out and we had a lot of rehearsals. So yeah, we were in those studios for ages, getting tight and getting to know each other. But yeah, we didn't. They didn't send us out on any gigs for a while until we were ready, really. And then we didn't stop gigging. We were out constantly. We were on tour all the time.
So in terms of songwriting at that point, then when you've got the full band together, where like how did it work? Did you already have the songs at that point, or?
Yeah, we had quite a few songs, but then the more we got to know each other, and we would all sit down and kind of add things and change things. And it wasn't until a little bit later on that we like Miles would write stuff and give them to us, and we'd share it, really.
Right, yeah, yes. And
Yeah.
then in terms of playing gigs, is it quite like mapped out by Delta Sonic? Would you be going on, rather than just like aimless gigs, you'd be supporting people, etc.
Yeah, so we supported the Zootons and we supported the Coral, and both bands were really nice to us and like let us like use the tour buses and the catering and everything. They really looked after us, and we went on tour with the Nine Black Alps. Remember them?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they were sound as well. But then I suppose then they sent us on tour with the Arctic Monkeys, and obviously that was a big time for us because we thought we were headlining, so we were going on a headlining tour around the UK, and then just before we were going on it, we got a call from the label to say you're not headlining it anymore, and we were like, what? And they were like, yeah, there's this band called the Arctic Monkeys, and we were like, who are they? And then human. We were like, what? And then when we did go on tour with them and we did the first night, we were like, oh, okay, okay, we see now. Like, as people were like hanging off the ceiling, and it was just mental. So, yeah, it was good times.
Was that like the back end of 2005 then or something?
Yeah, I was just looking, I had to look back then, and I just thought, God, yeah, that's around 2000. Yeah, back end of 2005. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So was it like 2005 where you started playing proper gigs type thing?
Well, just before then, because we did go on tour with the Coral as well and the Zooton, so that was like our taste of like going on big gigs, decent size gigs. But we did do a lot of like we did do a headlining tour as well, but to like places that I'd never even heard of before, tiny little places with like no one was there. So yeah, we were always on tour, no matter what.
Yeah, it feels like a good time to start things like 2004, 2005. Felt like it was still pretty healthy kind of
Yeah,
music industry at that point.
yeah, it was great, and like it was, what was it, MySpace.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, obviously when you start, is that the first time you met Monkeys and it was just that tour?
It was that tour, yeah, yeah. Or what we were meant to be headlining, yeah. Our dog headline and so.
Yeah, yeah. Did it feel like a kinship quite quickly with those guys then?
Oh yeah, it was funny, because like just the first time we went on tour with them and that first night, when we realised that this band were going to be absolutely massive. You could just see it. Well, I'd never seen anything like it. And we just gelled, we clicked with them instantly and got on with them really, really well. And I wasn't used to that because I think, like, well, the Delta Sonic bands are all sound, but I'd met other bands who were like, who'd come into the dressing room and be like, do you know who I am?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, like that stereotypical, and it was just, you're not impressed with that. So when the Arctic Monkeys were like the soundest people, the nicest lads, and they were just like, not the usual.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, do you find like maybe like the best bands have got like less to prove maybe in that respect? I don't know. Less
Yeah.
ego.
Yeah. And that they were only, they, they weren't massive then. They were, they were, but they were not like, playing stadiums or anything. We were still playing like tiny venues. Um, and they were on the cusp, but they had no ego, just no ego at all. And yeah, it's very refreshing that.
Yeah, yeah. And did you do more tours with them? How did it work?
We did two tours with them. So we did the first one, and then we went on tour with them again when they were bigger. Then yeah, and we played like I remember going from what venues were we talking about last week? We were talking about the working men's clubs and the small barflies, and then we went to the next kind of sized gigs were like Blackpool Empress Ballroom, and it just went off then. It was like a football crowd going mad. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I will have seen you then. 'Cause I went to the one at Hull Ice Arena. I think you must have
Oh
supported them.
yeah, yeah. Because I saw a T-shirt that said "It's never dull in Hull," and I've never forgotten it. I loved
Yeah, that's a go-to phrase, yeah.
it.
I always thought it was a mad venue they played that. Like
Yeah,
could have played somewhere a bit better, but I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I kind of like that though. It suits them the way they are. I think some of the odd venues.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, in terms of that Liverpool scene, and were you like, did you feel a part of that? Like, or were you busy doing your own thing?
But I think we were busy doing our own thing. I didn't think we had time. So at the time, I remember before we got signed, there was like the bandwagon, and there was like the Zootons and the Coral and the Bandits and the Hokum Clones and the Stairs, was it? But there were loads of brilliant bands at the time. Um, but I feel like, yeah, we didn't really fit into that. So I think our sound was just different at the time. And then, like, I went to bandwagon shows and um, loved them, loved the Coral and the Zootons and everyone. But yeah, we never kind of fitted into it. But we did go on tour with them, which was brilliant. But yeah, we didn't have time. I don't think like I say, I think Alan just sent us out on tour and was like, right, go on, off you go.
What about in terms of recording singles? You had a couple of singles before you recorded the album, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, we had Goodbye Little Rose and Put Your Jukes Up, John, which was covered by the Arctic Monkeys as well because they did that on tour. And I love their version. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, who did you record those singles with?
So we recorded. God, I have to really remember here. It's a long, long time ago. So we recorded all the singles. I will let me think. My mind's gone blank now.
Ah, sorry, I should have prepped you on that one.
I can't remember the name.
Was it someone in Liverpool or what?
Yeah, yeah, it was, and it was in Elevator Studios. But when we did that album, that was with Tor Johansson in Sweden, and we did that. Yeah, he did like Franz Ferdinand and the Cardigans and people like that. So yeah, Delta Sonic paid for us to go over with him and do that album.
Yeah, like why was that song Goodbye Little Rose? Was that not on the album?
I don't know. I don't know if we liked it or not. I think we got sick of it and we
Fair
didn't
enough.
like it. Yeah, I think we just outgrew it and we're like, yeah. Yeah. And we were like writing together then by the time that came out. But that didn't come out for 9 years later, that album. But
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting just because Scott picked it. Scott Jones came on to do a radio show and picked his like 10 favorite songs of that era,
and
and he picked that song.
did he?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's nice to hear it again.
that's nice. Yeah, yeah, I haven't heard it for so long. I don't think I've heard it for 20 years.
Fair play. So yeah, in terms of recording the album, then was that quite linear? Like, did you go into the studio 2006 or something?
Yeah. So we did quite a lot of recording with Joe Fearon, and Joe Fearon, who was a brilliant fella. He was he did a lot of producing with us. In fact, actually think we did the first two. There you go. I think Joe did the first two singles, um, and we recorded it in a studio that's no longer in Liverpool anymore. With Scott, I can't remember Scott's name now, but it was we were holed up in that studio for ages. Um, and I remember just being like, there was a room with everyone just playing Grand Theft Auto with just everywhere, and you couldn't breathe. I just remember that studio. And yeah, so we were with Scott and Joe Fearon, and Joe was Alan's best mate, but Joe was brilliant. And yeah, it was good times with Joe.
Was it like the label then that kind of suggested Toya Hansen as a producer then?
Yeah, yeah. I think he did, yeah, he did Martha Wainwright, Franz Ferdinand, Cardigan. So it was like, oh, and we liked what he'd done, and we listened to some of his stuff. And when we went over there, yeah, it was a good fit. He got what we wanted the sound to be like, and he was into like similar things. So yeah, it was great with tour.
Yes. And then in terms of people like NME, like did you feel like I remember definitely Pretty Jukes John was on an NME compilation, I think.
Was it? I didn't think they'd let us get on their compilations.
I'm sure I remember hearing it on there, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, did you feel like you had a good relationship with music media or how did it work?
yeah. We did. We had loads of backing from like um the Guardian. Guardian liked us. And who else? Mojo. But the enemy, not so much. Um, I think we brought out what did we bring out? Was it Isabella? One of the singles, and they I think they tore it apart. So I think we were on tour, and when you open the enemy and you're like, oh God. But yeah, looking back now, it doesn't really matter. But at the time, it was kind of like they. I think they like to think they made they couldn't make or break it really. But
No, yeah, it's a pretty big deal,
it
definitely.
is a pretty, but back then, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
funny talking about it, isn't it? Without like social media and the fact that we were you'd stop on your tour, the splitter bus, go in and buy the NME and then open it and be like, damn.
But what happened then, like in terms of the album, then like was there a bit of obviously a massive delay in the end, but what prompted
Mm.
that delay in it coming out?
I'm not sure. I think the label just didn't think it was the right time to bring it out, and then there were loads of different masters of it and versions, and yeah. Um, but yeah, it's a shame it didn't come out at that time because I think we had something good going at the time, and especially when we were on tour with the Arctic Monkeys, would have been a great time to like them, but it wasn't meant to be.
Right, okay. But I mean, you played a lot of Ace gigs by the looks of it. I was watching a video of you playing in Japan
Well,
and
yeah, we went
places
to
like that.
Japan. Yeah, we went twice. So Delta Sonic, I think they were very generous. They sent us out there twice. Um, yeah, we played Summer Sonic twice, I think it was. Yeah, it was great. Really good times.
Yeah, yeah. Did you play in Europe or anything?
No, no, just Japan twice and then around the UK about a
Ah,
million
okay.
times.
Were you like building up a bit of a fan base then obviously around that time, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we were. And obviously when we went on tour with the Arctic Monkeys, that was like, and then, Alex wore one of our t-shirts on stage and stuff. So it obviously gave us a boost with their fans as well. So yeah, we did. We had an okay fan base at the time, a decent sized one, I think.
Yeah. Like, how big an effect does that have? I thought it's hard to measure, but when Alex wears a t-shirt like that, it's got to have a big effect, I suppose.
I remember, well, obviously we only had MySpace, but if you imagine that happening now on like TikTok and all that, so
Yeah, yeah.
it was yeah, it was big. It was big for us, and yeah, it was definitely because people still remember it now, and people still link us with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Was that ever annoying or were you just always appreciative of it?
It's appreciative of it, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. yeah, it's like people still say it now, or like, do you still speak to Miles? It was great. It was a great time. So can't complain. Spending your 20s going around, touring and being paid to be on tour. And it was great.
No, yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, so as soon as you like sign to Delta Sonic or get involved with them, are you like full-time musicians at that point, basically?
Yeah. So Alan told us, you don't have to work. We'll pay you a salary, which was amazing. So we were able to leave our jobs and just be full-time musicians. So I couldn't complain really.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And in terms of songwriting, I obviously had the songs for the album, but did you just naturally kind of carry on songwriting as you were going?
Yeah, I mean, so Matt was like the main songwriter. So, but I do my own kind of when we were on tour. I used to just write my own stuff that wasn't um, Little Flame stuff. Because I kind of was, as we were on tour, I would think that I kind of started to think, well, I'd rather do. I started to get into soundtracks. When you're on tour and you start like going to different cities and towns, and you go to the record shops and you've got time to waste, and you go into all the little local record shops and picking stuff up. And I started to get into soundtracks and decided I wanted to write soundtrack music. And I used to write all the time, but I never ever gave it to the Little Flames because it wasn't the right fit. It wasn't, it was just a side thing I used to do. And I suppose that's like what I kind of went on to do myself, after the band.
All right. So what would you kind of write it on? Is it a particular instrument or something?
No, I just well, I can play a little bit of the piano, so well, obviously I didn't have a piano on tour, but I just used to when I was home, I'd play some melodies on the piano, and then I'd just make them up in my head really when I was on tour,
Ah, okay.
stealing bits. I've just listened to a lot of music on what was it, the iPod, which makes me feel even older, and just like I was influenced by a lot of like Julie London and a lot of like Italian horror soundtracks from the 70s. I think that's what happens when you go on tour. You just go into this mode of self-preservation, and you get a bit bored waiting around, don't you, for like going on stage and for sound check, and so you just get into one thing and
Yes. But like how obviously back then it wasn't easy to record IDs, I suppose, was it? Did you have to like remember them all?
yeah. I used to put them on. I used to have books, and I just do like little shorthand to remind me of like, just put like, this should sound like this or this should be like that, and I'd have a guide, and that's how I still write now. So I do. Oh, I've got my phone now, so I just put voice notes on my phone. But then I just used to have tons of notebooks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. And was it a similar thing with the rest of the band then in terms of like having their own projects? It sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah, I think that's when the band came to an end as well. Is that we were all, I think after the album didn't come out, and um, you know, the band just naturally. We were a bit older than the lads as well, me and Matt. So I think we wanted to do more of the cinematic stuff, and they wanted to do stuff like the Rascals. So I know Miles wanted to write more, and so did I. And he started the Rascals at this when he was in the Little Flames, and then it was the right thing for them to do because they were dying to get out there and do that. So um, yeah, I think that's when it started. We were all like, oh yeah, okay, we're going our own ways now.
Ah, okay. So
Yeah.
like the album being delayed wasn't because you guys separated. It was like the other way around.
No, yeah, we were just waiting and waiting and waiting, really, and it just didn't come out. And then I think it all just naturally started to come to an end then.
Right, okay. So did you know like when it came to your last gig or whatever, did you know it was going to be your last one and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was in Sheffield. It was in Sheffield. I remember it. And I think, yeah, it's a weird feeling. It's probably like, I don't know, a divorce. And it's coming, and it was our last gig. But I think we were like, I think me and the other three lads were ready for that. Um, I'm not sure about Matt. I don't know, but I think we just come. It just ends, fizzles out like a relationship. The spark goes, and you want to move on.
Ah, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And like, did you have a good idea of what you wanted to do at that point then yourself?
Yeah, I think I really, like I say, I wanted to do solo stuff and I wanted to do soundtrack stuff and cinematic style stuff. I wanted to work with orchestras and um, I, uh, yeah, I knew what I wanted to do then. I didn't know how I was going to do it, and I knew it wasn't going to be like, I'm going to be famous and have hits. I knew I didn't want that, and that wasn't going to be my path. So I think I was thinking long term and and then that's when I did my solo stuff with Will Sargent from Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a dream meeting him, really.
So that quite like a sounds like it was an easy transition for you then at that point. It wasn't like
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
deal.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, and yeah, I kind of was like ready for it. People used to be like, "Oh, you must be absolutely gutted," and I wasn't. It just like I say, it was like, when your relationship's coming to an end, and you just know, and you're ready, and you've already moved out in your head. So it's kind of the same thing, and there was no bad feeling because we were ready to go. Um, but yeah, we were. I just knew that. Oh yeah, when I came out of the band, um, the the Porcupine management, Peasy and Pete Byrne, who are Echo and the Bunnymen and the Farms management, just came up to me in the street. I was walking past Peasy and we just started talking and he asked if he could manage me. And yeah, it was great because I think he knew what I was trying to do and he introduced me to Will Sargent and we went to Parr Street Studios and had a couple of drinks and did a pub quiz, which was surreal. And then got chatting and we were into like loads of the same things. Like it was weird how much the same stuff we liked, both like books and music and art, and both being from Liverpool. I don't know. It's just, and I love the Bunnymen anyway. So
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
he knew what I wanted to do.
So what was that like? What was that process like in terms of getting songs together for that then? Was that fairly quick or how did it
Yeah,
work?
well, I've been writing for so long, and then so I'd had that band experience where I wasn't really writing much, and then before I met Will Sargent, my management sent me to meet Guy Chambers
All
and to
right.
a songwriting session with him, and we wrote a song that was on the album that I did with Will, and I wrote with Alfie Skelly, who is James Skelly and Ian Skelly's little brother. Um, and that song was on the album I did with Will as well. So, and then I met Will. Sorry, and then
Ah, okay.
we sat together. And actually, we didn't sit together. We didn't even. We weren't. It was over the phone, and it was over email. And I'd send him stuff, and he'd send me stuff, and we wrote the album collaboratively that way
Right, right.
because
What
he's
was
got
this?
his own
Sorry,
studio.
go on.
Sorry, no, just saying he has his own studio, so we do it like that over the phone.
Right, right, okay. So what was it like those songwriting sessions? I was talking to Juanita from Howling Bells, if you remember them.
Oh yeah, oh they were great then.
Yeah, yeah. And she was
Mm,
saying like the record label put her forward for like similar things, but it didn't really work for her. But
yeah.
do you find it quite, yeah, quite good, really?
Yeah, it's funny, they say like you'll meet Scousers everywhere. We're all over wherever you go, you'll always meet a Scouser. And when we were down in with Guy Chambers, like obviously he knew Dave McCabe and he knew everyone, and we all knew all the same. He knew everyone in the Liverpool music scene. It was really funny, and so I got on with him really well, but he was like strict. So he was just like, and his studio is amazing. I was just like, oh my God, this is like incredible. And I had to get on it and I had to like, properly like he said, I sat at the piano with him, this amazing like grand piano, and he was just like, just sing, tell me what you've been working on. And it was a really good lesson and like making sure you're prepared. And then that night he said, right, go away, come back tomorrow and write a song. But I was like, oh my God, the pressure. But it was brilliant. It was a really good lesson in songwriting for sure. And it was Little White Lies, the song that's on Emerald Green Eyes that I did with Will.
Yeah, I noted that down on my notes as being a good song. I enjoyed it.
Thanks. See, I can remember that, but when you go back to the Little Flame stuff, I was like,
So I mean, I don't know if my dates are up. Does that take a while to come out? That first album, first solo album?
2012, I think it was.
Yeah. So is that
Yeah.
like a few years working on that type of thing?
Yeah, yeah. I went back into working in law as well. I had to make money, and I qualified as a barrister before when we got signed to Delta Sonic.
All right.
So I was in law school, and yeah, so I went back to that for a bit.
Okay. Well, doing what? Well, being a
um,
barrister.
yeah, doing employment law and defending everyone and fighting for social justice,
Oh, wow.
the Liverpool way.
Was that a good inspiration for songwriting?
It's good inspiration for performance and being on stage because it's all acting and all performance. So
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Yes. So, like, were you able to like build momentum with that with the solo album and then when it came out, type thing?
yeah, yeah. So um, we supported. Oh, who was it with when we? So me and Paul Duffy from the Coral would went out and did some gigs and played the album really, um, which was great. So we did quite a lot of acoustic shows, and I also had a residency with the Wicked Whispers. Don't know if you know,
All right. Not
Liverpool
sure.
band. They used to have a night called Friction on in Liverpool, so we used to play the album there a lot, really, in Park Street Studios.
Ah, okay.
Um, yeah, so yeah, we did quite a few gigs actually.
So, what in terms of like labels and were they involved at that point? What? How did it work?
Yeah, I don't. It's just like I remember going to who was it now? What label was it? Oh God, I can't remember back now. But it was a good label, and they were like, "We'd like you to come down and meet us," and it was all seemed to be happening. Went down to London. I had to sing in front of people. It was horrible. Um,
Wow. What,
yeah,
like a boardroom or something?
yeah,
Oh
and
dear.
then yeah, that was it. I never read back.
It's a bit X Factor, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was like dead weird. And I was just like, oh, this is horrible. Um, but yeah, but such is life with the music industry. One minute it's all happening for you, and the next minute it it isn't. So yeah, you've just that's how it is.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you're fairly set up in terms of having other options type of thing.
Yeah, I always say to my students as well, you've got to have more than one thing going on because you never know. It could go really well for you, but then it could all come to an end at any time. So you've got to like try and have a few side hustles going on, definitely.
Yeah, that must be more prevalent now than ever, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I know. I mean, it must be so hard now. But like most people I know are in the music industry who are like, you know, still working. They've got full-time jobs as well. So, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's tough.
Yeah, sounds it definitely.
Yeah.
So like in terms of the solo stuff then like yeah, do you have to like get a like you say you got a fella from the choral, was it? Or the
Uh,
Zootons?
Paul Duffy.
Sorry, yeah. So you got
Yeah,
Paul involved.
yeah.
Was it
Paul
like
from the Coral. Yeah, yeah.
obviously the dynamic's a bit different? Like did you have to I don't know, is it obviously a bit different to touring with a band?
Yeah, so Paul's really sound. He's lovely, really talented fella, and amazing songwriter, and writes film music as well. So that went really well with me and him because we just gelled. Um, I did some writing with James Skelly as well, and that was a really, really good experience. Um, but yeah, it was good going out acoustically because I've obviously been with the full band. So you can't hide though. Can't hide, can you? When there's just you and the guitar, you're exposed. But it was great. I did really enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah. Was it a bit of a different, I suppose, with Little Flames, you kind of ride on this kind of like indie scene, if you like. Was it a bit of a
Mm,
different vibe when you get to
yeah,
2012 or whatever?
yeah, definitely. But then there was like Duffy and Amy Winehouse and all that kind of, and Lily Allen and stuff. So it was like around that time as well, I think. And then Candy Payne, who was signed to Delta Sonic, she's a brilliant singer and songwriter. And so there was quite a few of us doing kind of similar things, I suppose. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed just being on stage with Paul, definitely. It was good. Just a different dynamic and different audience as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Mm.
definitely more electronic, would you say, that first solo album than The Little Flames?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I wanted it to be something different. wanted it to obviously sound like me, but with more of the influences that I was really into at the time, you know.
Yeah, there's a great Velvet Underground cover on there. Really suits your voice.
Oh, thanks.
I was enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And then yeah, going back to when I was talking to Juanita from Howling Bells, she was saying
Yeah.
like kind of media and press could be a bit reductive in terms of, talking to you as a woman in music. Did you
Yeah.
find that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think we all did. All the women in the bands. I was looking at like an NME thing before, and it was like in 2014. It was out, and it was like all the indie, like 24 indie bands that you didn't know about or something. And we were on it. And I think the Howling Bells, and that was about it. They were all lads, you know. I was looking at it, and I was like, my God. But yeah, there was a lot of what's it like to be a girl in a band, and you just be like, if I hear that question, what do you think? I mean, the lads were sick of it as well. They were just like, oh, good God, you know, not again. But yeah, it's just, and there was a lot of like, yeah, there was a lot of kind of misogyny with the press for sure. But there wasn't in the band, which was great.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think
So,
it's?
yeah.
I mean, Juanita said she thinks it's changed a lot now. Like it's a lot easier maybe for women in music. I don't know. What do you think in that respect, anyway?
Um, easier, I'm not sure because, you know, I'm not at I'm not at that stage as a woman in the music industry. But I do watch our students or bands in Liverpool, and I think it's still difficult, but I don't think it is as difficult. I don't know. Sometimes I think we only had MySpace, so and when I look at like young people in bands now or musicians, and I'm like, I think it's even harder because you can't move, you can't do anything without it being online, and anything. I think it must be like so tough.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
someone made a point on YouTube recently, like, don't know, like the idea of selling out was a big thing back in the day, wasn't it? But now
Oh,
it's not a
yeah,
thing. And they were like,
yeah,
it's because like, people aim now to get the songs clipped up on TikTok and stuff. So
yeah.
like you're associating songs with people's TikToks rather than what the band are putting out themselves. I thought that's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and like not knowing the full songs. Like when I was thinking about how, like the Arctic Monkeys, how all the fans knew all the words and that because and that there was loads of it all out there on MySpace, and they all knew all the lyrics, and but they knew every single word for every single song for that whole album. And like I just don't know, with like people's attention spans now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be happening the same way, does
No,
it?
no.
And people are definitely going to want me to ask more about monkeys. So,
Yeah, go on. Well, yeah.
I mean, just memories of playing with them. Was there any like stories or that you can remember about touring with them and stuff like that?
Yeah, they were just like I just remember them being very like they'd stand up for you. So you were saying before about sorry, what was her name from the Howland Bands?
Juanita?
Juanita, yeah, and how like how might be easier now, but I remember kind of like being on tour doing the Blackpool Empress Ballroom and getting heckled massively from the audience. There was about four fellas, and I remember Andy from the Arctic Monkeys. He like called them out, and he got him like thrown out by their security. Their security was really sound as well, and like having that, like a lot of younger artists say now in who are teaching, they're like, what would you say is the most important thing for when you're on tour and dealing with safe spaces and safety and whatnot? And I was just like making sure that the people who you're with are your allies, and support you. And like whenever there was anything going on like that, when we were on tour with them, they sorted it out. Like they hated it, and they really stood up for me. So I thought that was like quite rare as well.
Yeah, was that a bit different to like other gigs you did type thing?
Yeah, yeah. So like some of the bands who you'd be with wouldn't care, but yeah, they did. They were good allies. So were the Coral and the Zootons as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we like, is it no surprise to see how Monkeys have kicked on? Like, what do you make of like the recent albums or whatever?
Yeah, I think they're great. I love them. I think like, you've got to change, you've got to move, and you're not going to stay the same, are you, as when you were like 20? I mean, I haven't. I'm not going to be singing Put Your Jukes Up, it's like totally different now, you know. So yeah, I think I love the recent albums, and yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, I got into a weird Instagram argument with this bloke because I posted like funny video of Alex like having a bit of a pop at Take That and Awards do or something, and
Yeah.
this bloke was just insisting in the comments that Take That are bigger than monkeys. I was like, I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Don't know.
It's like, are they? And you can't really compare the two anyway, can you? But anyway,
No, no, it's just an odd comparison. There's just totally, yeah. How have they come up with that?
yeah, and he's just like insisting that the fan base now of monkeys like kind of puts up with the new music rather than enjoying it. I was like, you're just massively towering everyone with your own brush. But anyway,
Yeah, people love to say that, don't they? And when he got stick when they went to LA, and when you move to LA, and it's like, oh, they've got all LA, or
no,
or
yeah,
you're wearing a leather jacket, or I do a lecture on that, the whole leather jacket thing, and I use the Arctic Monkeys as an
uh,
example of it. But um,
all right. In what
yeah,
way? Sorry.
just about like when people say you're inauthentic when you're wearing certain items of clothing, like
All right.
yeah, and one of the jackets he wore was a Lewis Leathers that like someone I know, it belonged to someone I know back from the 70s.
All right.
Yeah, he's a professor, and he said, "Is it why do you always call me when you're high?"
Okay.
And he went, "That's my coat, that's my jacket from the 70s," because he was a punk in the 70s. And I said, "How do you know?" And he said, I just see, I know the fit. I know the fit of it. And there's an old pack of Marlboro inside. And so we went down to Lewis Leathers, and we went into the archive because he knew Derek, who's passed away now, who owned Lewis Leathers. And we went in and we went to the archive, and he was like, "Can you show us the jacket that Alex wore? Because she won't believe me that it's mine." And he opened it and he went into the pocket inside, and there was his ciggies from the 70s inside.
No way.
And we were just saying, the people who say, "Oh, you're inauthentic for wearing it," like he slicked his hair back, he's wearing a leather jacket. So what? It's like it used to belong to the prof, Con Fallows, and like, from the 70s and the punk era. And like, so what if you wear another item of clothing and, it becomes your thing? Then it's totemic, isn't it? It's just like, I don't know. I think he got too much stick for that.
No, yeah, yeah. I think people underestimate like how, mad it must have been for him as well, like his formative years
Well,
with all that
imagine,
attention.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when we used to come out, they used to come out on nights out with us in Liverpool when they were, 20. And they were famous, but they'd be in heebie-jeebies and Labato, which was a club that we all used to go to. And I just remember him. He didn't get mobbed or anything because people in Liverpool are kind of just like laid back about it because they all think they're famous anyway. We all think we've all got big egos anyway. So yeah, I just thought, imagine. I remember seeing him thinking, my God, imagine having that fame at that age, and you're just learning stuff and you're getting into new music, and yeah, it's just, I can't even imagine it.
No, I think he's navigated it unbelievably well, I think, really.
Yeah, to come out of it like that, and yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can see why he's taken on those different characters as well. Maybe helps him cope with
Yeah,
being who he is. I don't know.
yeah, it's that's like putting on armor, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I suppose nobody mentioned the Andy thing as well. Like, was it a shock to you when he was removed from the band, as it turns out, at the time?
yeah, yeah, because like when I saw him last week, and I hadn't seen him for 20 years. Last time I saw him was on stage.
No, okay, right.
Yeah, so me and Andy used to chat about touring and kind of like the struggles of it and the kind of downside of it as well, I suppose. But and we talk a lot. And I said to him last week, I was like, we spoke a lot about that back then, and that's dead important for I think when you're on tour, talking about the difficulties of it and being open about it, really. Um, but yeah, it was tough, and I really got on with him, and it was really sad when he wasn't part of the band anymore, But I knew because I'd seen it, and you could tell that he wasn't happy.
Oh, right. Do you think that's why it was really that he wasn't really getting on with it?
I don't know, but we often spoke about how difficult it was being on tour and stuff. And I don't know, I don't know, but I just remember being really like really sad, to find out that he wasn't in the band anymore, and I never knew why, and I didn't know what happened. But yeah, so
No, it's still not even massively clear now, is it? 20 years
no.
later. But it must be hard as well, like when, you're supposed to be having the time of your life, and if you're struggling with it a bit, you must feel like, well, no one's going to want to know because everyone thinks you're going to have the time of your life. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I suppose to everyone else, it's like you're really lucky, and you are that you're on tour and that you are getting to do something that you love. But I suppose, you know, that there's so many pressures when you're on tour, and also, being on tour is weird because you don't have any roots. You're living out of a bag all the time, and you don't eat properly and don't sleep properly, and so it's an odd world. It's not the real world, is it?
No, yeah, it sounds a bit mad, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So and having that fame as well. Like I say, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, yeah. But when I was doing research today, like search on NME,
Mm.
sounded like Miles Kane was like maybe going to be in the band instead of Andy at some point or something, but he chose to be in the Rascals instead and do his own thing. I don't know.
Yeah, he was like, I'll just have my own instead. Yeah, yeah. So well, yeah, Miles and Alex became like best mates on those early tours. And I remember the last gig we did the Art of Monkeys, and like everyone was crying, leaving each other. And we were all like waving at the back of the van at each other, because it was, yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you think of it now? You visualize that.
No, yeah, yeah. So was it like no surprise to you to see when they did the Last Shadow puppets and stuff?
Oh, no surprise, because yeah, we were all into kind of more kind of like soundtracky stuff, and like I say, we were all sharing music on tour, and um, yeah, I think Miles introduced Alex to a lot of stuff, but the choral introduced Miles to a lot of stuff, you know. And yeah, it's good. It's great that time when you're all sort of finding out new music and getting into new things and new sounds. But yeah, I mean, I think Miles just loved Scott Walker at the time. We all did. Yeah, so we were. I know I did. I was a huge fan. So yeah, it was no surprise. And like they got on like a house on fire. And I think, yeah, Miles started playing with them, didn't he? And getting up with them and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Like, it's funny last week, I think Andy said that Alex went through a bit of a scouse stage at one point.
Oh my God, he did. He did. I love it when people go through a scout stage. It never leaves you.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Definitely felt like those two, like they wanted to recreate kind of a bit of like a Beatles kind of banter type thing.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. It worked well with them, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It did.
Right, yes. Well, I guess obviously you released another solo album as well. A bit more orchestral, like you were referring to earlier.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, a bit of a gap between that one as well. Was it kind of a thing you were doing alongside working at that point then?
So I started a PhD. What did I do? Oh, when I did Emerald Green Eyes with Will, and then went off, and Will introduced me to. Will got me on to do a PhD. So it was his idea, and he said you should just do a PhD. And then I met Professor Colin Fallows as his best mate, who owned the Lewis leathers that Alex wore.
Right, right.
And yeah, I started a PhD, and then as part of that PhD, I did and that album, Voices of Winter Palace, with Matt from the Little Flames, and that was with the Budapest Symphony Orchestra, and that was based on my family story, and it was kind of like the album that I'd always wanted to do when I was in the Little Flames.
Ah, cool.
Yeah,
There's like really interesting format into it and stuff. Like part one and two is different songs.
yeah, it's meant to be like a film, really.
Right, right, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, if you think about it, it's meant to be. The story is of my family, my granddad coming from the Faroe Islands and meeting my nana in Liverpool, and yeah, that's the story really.
Ah, cool.
Um, yeah,
I was enjoying Leah from that album. I
one of my
made a note.
songs called Leo. But that was my granddad's name as well.
Ah, right, okay.
It's named after him, yeah.
Ah, cool. So what was your PhD in then?
Well, it was practice led, so it was like half written and half practical. So it was all about the women pioneers of electronic music,
Ah,
like
yes.
Delia Derbyshire and Daphne Oram, and like the first synthesizer and stuff like that.
Was
And
that
like
when you worked for the BBC? Was it?
yeah, so
Yeah.
Daphne Oram ran the BBC Radiophonic Workshop back in the 40s. So I just thought, why is there nothing out there about these women? Like there is now, but when I was doing my PhD, there was hardly anything. I didn't even know about Daphne Oram building a synthesizer, the first synthesizer. Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so all those kind of experimental compositional techniques I got really into, and then it's like, right, I'm going to use all this and make this album in Budapest.
Quality, yeah. And then, yeah, does that kind of lead into working at Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts then?
Yeah, yeah. So I was approached by someone from Liver, um, whose brother worked here, and they were like, I was telling them they were just talking about the Little Flames and the Liverpool music scene, and I was just telling them all of this, really, I suppose. And they were like, you should go into Liver and do a masterclass. So I did, and I was in the Paul McCartney Auditorium here, and it was like a big moment for me. And I stood on the stage and I told kind of my story and you know with the Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that. And when I did that masterclass to all the students, I was offered a job. And then I had a job interview, and then yeah, I became a lecturer in music here. And
That's quality, that.
it's
So you
been a
like, is that good, much more of a, I don't know, a natural thing than the law that you're doing?
yeah. Well, I still, funnily enough, I still do sessions on employment law in the music industry, so I still use it to help the students kind of navigate being paid and not getting ripped off and knowing the law to help women especially navigate the system and to be equipped. So when you are going out there, you're not like scrambling for a lawyer at the last minute and things like that. So things that I was equipped with because I'd done law. So I'm kind of like just sharing that with a lot of younger musicians, really.
Right, right, yeah.
Mhm.
And I suppose kind of overlooked the album coming out, the
Oh
Little
God,
Flames
yeah.
album. So that comes out eventually in 2016. Like, what's the story there?
Yeah, yeah. It just came out. I mean, I was doing my PhD and I got an email to say that it was coming out, which was brilliant. And then I got a message from Anne Heston, who runs Delta Sonic now and is Alan Mills' wife, and saying it's being released. And I think we did not an interview, but we gave kind of comments on it, and Miles did, and we all just said the same thing, and we were like really proud of that era and that time. We loved it; it was amazing, and we're just glad that it was coming out and being released because we were all very proud of the work that we did, and yeah, there was no bad feeling really.
No, yeah.
Mm.
So it's worth mentioning Scott Jones as well.
Oh,
Friend
stars,
of
yeah.
the pod. Like, did he do the artwork for that album?
Yeah, yeah. My brother Christian is a photographer, and he took photos. I think it was in Sefton Park in Liverpool at night.
Ah,
Um,
right.
yeah, and then Scott and Lizzie, the ones, and Matt Gregory, he did a lot as well. So yeah, Scott, and I've known Scott for years as well, and Lizzie, and they were brilliant to work with. Dead creative and really on it.
No, yeah, yeah. So well, good segue into the questions we got then. And
Okay.
we'll yeah. We'll see what people said here. Robin Jones, what was the inspiration behind Put Your Dukes Up, John?
Oh yeah, it was about John from what was the band? The Basement.
Ah, okay.
So there's a band signed to Delta Sonic called The Basement, and it was about John. I don't know I can't remember his second name. Lovely fella. And Matt was mates with him. I think Matt was in a band. I think Matt was in the Basement actually, and I think it was about him standing up for himself. Really. But I
Ah,
didn't
okay.
like it.
Now I wonder if it's about the music industry or something like Be a Cynic. I don't know.
Yeah, CYNIC. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It's really like a bit of a advisory from Matt about like yeah, don't let the bastards grind you down kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Ollie Johnner, Little Flames reunion and Liverpool show question mark.
God, imagine that. Oh,
That'd be
maybe.
good, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine Art 11. Do you think Miles looks like Paul McCartney or are they the same person? Question mark.
He does a bit, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah. He'll
Have
love
you-
that, won't he? Oh no, he likes John Lennon more, doesn't he? So
Oh, really? Have you met Paul McCartney then? Has he been to
I
the...
have, yeah, he's my boss, really. He's the founding member of, he's the founding father of Liver, isn't he? So yeah, I met him. I've met him quite a few times now because he comes to every graduation.
No, what, really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Was
and
it every year then?
yeah,
Oh,
every
right.
year. And when I met him, when I spoke to him last year, uh, I was introduced as the Scouser from the music department, and he said, and he went, "What?" He went, "Where'd you live?" And I said, I started. I didn't mean to, but I was just like, "No, do you know Penny Lane?" And the lyrics, I was just, and he was laughing, and he said, "Come here and give me a big hug," and I was just like, "Oh my God, this is unreal."
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, but he's lovely. He's really nice. He's just like the Scouse dad.
Yeah, yeah, seems like a top bloke from what you say. Yeah, I used to work at Westminster Abbey, and the Queen was technically my boss, but I never actually met
Oh my God.
her. So never mind. What we got in here? Got Gutsy Big Bang. He says, "What's your favorite song of the month? Have a nice day. Peace sign."
Tell you what, I love Brooke Combe.
Okay.
I love her new song. Oh, she's brilliant. Yeah, she's underrated. Everyone should listen to her. She's got an incredible voice. Really, so talented.
Yeah, do you come across a lot of good new music where you work then? Like a lot
Yeah,
of
I
good new
mean,
artists.
yeah, the good thing about where I work is that I'm surrounded by like all the future of the music industry and the acting world and dance and sound tech. And yeah, it's great to see it really. And there's artists who've gone on to do really great things from there as well. And um, I remember teaching crawlers, the band crawlers, and they did really well. And obviously they won Bats one year as well, didn't they?
Ah, okay, right.
And yeah, there's loads of really great up and coming artists. Definitely, it's great to see them.
Do you find it's more individuals now than bands, or not really?
It's quite a few bands here, and a lot of the students are inspired by the Arctic Monkeys.
Ah, right.
Yeah, which I was quite surprised because like when that album came out, they were like two and three. There were quite a few of our students last week at the event that Andy and Chris and Scott were talking at, and they said like, well, this album and Andy got me into playing the bass or into music. So yeah, they're still really obviously massively influential.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Lucy Boo 6 just says, "Wow, I saw the support Nine Black Alps at Fibbers. Must have been 2004."
Oh my God, Fibbers in York. I remember
Yeah.
that gig. Yeah, clear
Right.
this day. Oh, they were great, the Nine Black Amps.
And I need to get them on.
Yeah, definitely.
We used to cover one of their songs in my small band.
Did you?
We only played about 20 gigs, but yeah.
Did you? What was your band called?
Uh, Called Awful Scenes. We only played 2 gigs outside of Hull, so.
Did we play with you? Did we
No,
support?
no.
We supported you in Hull.
No, I think you're a bit bigger than us.
No, not by much.
Got Peter James Constant.
Mm.
Sorry, I forgot your name wrong there. Remember the 2006 Delta Sonic Christmas party at the Cardinal Academy?
Best night ever. Yeah, everyone loves that night. I posted something not long ago because someone was like, "Oh my God, you were blonde," like because I dyed my hair blonde, and they sent me that photo, and I was like, "Oh my God, yeah." And that night, yeah, Delta Sonic always did the best parties, Christmas parties, and that night, uh, we all played the Zootons, the choral, everyone, and then we were like, I had to say on stage, it was sold out, it was mad the night, and I had to come on and say, I'd like to introduce some guests, special guests, and it was like I had to introduce Alex Turner, and everyone just went like nuts. And it was just like, this is surreal. And then we did Put Your Jukes Up together.
Wow, yes. What
Yeah.
he came to that gig to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Yes.
brilliant. It was great, a great night. But everyone was like, oh my God, that was such a good night, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So what
Mm.
you it's a Christmas party, but you sold it to the public kind of thing.
Yeah, it was just like we all played it. Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a great idea. That. It was
That sounds
brilliant.
it.
Yeah, it was.
Um, As Zinc says reissue vinyl in capital letters.
Yeah, I haven't even got a copy of it
All
myself.
right.
But yeah, it'd be great to. Yeah, I think it's like orange vinyl. I don't even know where I can get it, but yeah, it'd be good to have a reissue of it. So my other one, my Emerald Green Eyes is coming out next month on a limited edition vinyl as well, which is like by AV8 Records in Liverpool. So that's exciting
Okay.
as well. Mhm.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Couple from Traits, Liverpool. I think they're a band.
Oh, Traits. Yeah, I met them last Wednesday night.
All right. Okay. I think there's a few like bands there.
There was loads
Yeah.
of the industry from when I recognise so many people in their audience.
Yeah, like a few young bands as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there were loads.
Yeah, yeah. And there's one thing you'd say to up and coming musicians.
Look after each other, listen to each other, talk to each other.
Good motto, eh?
Mm.
And they also say favouring up and coming bands from Liverpool.
Well, Brooke Combe isn't from Liverpool, but I love Brooke. So yeah, but yeah, really, she's just amazing. I think she was on Jimmy Kimmel last week.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Ryan, 1994. Will you ever do another solo tour or reunion for 20 years since they ended? Since they ended next year, I think it means since it's 20 years since you ended or something. Yeah,
Since the Little Flame split up.
yeah, so you're going to do
Yeah,
another solo tour or a reunion tour for
yeah.
Little
I'd
Flames?
probably do some gigs myself, but I don't know how we would do reunion tour. I don't know where everyone is.
Yeah, fair. Can make a mini documentary about it or something.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
Uh, then Vinyl Countdown. I think we've covered it really. Said why was such a delay on the album, and it'd be great to have it on vinyl, by the way.
Mm.
So is that
Yeah,
one for Delta Sonic, really?
that's one for Delta Sonic. Yeah, it is on vinyl.
Okay,
You can get it on vinyl.
right, right, okay, cool. And then one got a message from Edison9 saying, "Does sh- do you know do you know if it's true that Arctic Monkeys you probably couldn't see for the lights, but you were staring straight at me, was apparently wrote about you?"
Well, I've heard this, and Chris McClaw said on Wednesday night, "Do you know that song's about you?" I said, "Oh, bloody hell, it only took 20 years to find that out." But I had heard it. Yeah, it does make me laugh. Like the lyrics when I was reading, I was laughing. I think, yeah, I used to like be on stage and I'd always like stare someone out because probably just through nerves as well. And I could
That's
never
it.
see for the lights. They were always blinding as well.
That's it. That. All right, cool. We'll finish on yeah, a couple that I sent you then that I ask everyone basically. But
Oh, yeah.
what was the high point of the early days, and is there anything you do differently?
Well, obviously the highest point was going on tour with the Arctic Monkeys, obviously, and getting to do that twice as well. But to getting to be on tour with a band that had just broken through and were like huge, and to see that, but to play small venues with them and then to play the bigger venues, it was like, yeah, that was probably the highest, the biggest highlight really. Anything I would
Yeah,
have done differently?
yeah.
Not dyed my hair blonde, probably.
Fair enough. I mean, it sounds like you navigated it quite well. Like, you speak to some people that are a bit lost when, the band doesn't work out or whatever. Or
Yeah,
if you want to put it that way, but
yeah,
sounds
yeah,
like you're always quite prepared for things, yeah.
yeah. Be prepared, like definitely. But I think, yeah, I think in Liverpool we are like quite resilient and brought up quite tough. So, although another thing is that we all spoke to each other and talked. The communication is like is the key for sure. Like if you just don't open up, then Like it wasn't obviously like when we split up, it was bad, and I was upset. But like I say, it was more like the end of a marriage. It was meant, and but it is sad, and you don't really know where you're going. But luckily, I'd finished my law degree and I'd qualified and stuff, so I was able to like obviously I'd want to be in a band on tour, being paid to do that and what I really love. But I had kind of prepared, finished all my studies, so because I knew it wouldn't last. You know.
Fair enough. We had that kind of foresight.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, look, I'm just going to enjoy this while I can. I didn't even think it'd last 5 years, but it did. So.
No, yeah.
Mm.
Yes. And I did say about a Gallagher Brothers story or a funny story to finish on about a big name in music. I mean, they've given me some already, to be fair, but
Gallagher. Well, I've
sorry.
never met him, no.
Okay, yeah. It don't matter about that. I just put out, it's in the standard questions, like if you've got a
Yeah, I
funny
saw
story,
that.
but
Yeah, and I was like, oh, what that I've met them because I haven't met them.
okay, no worries, yeah. Or
Yeah,
like
but
a big name in music. I mean, Paul McCartney's quite a big one.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, we'll leave that one. But yeah, that's it. Cheers for that.
great. Thanks very much. Enjoyed it. Thanks for all the questions and to people who sent them in.
Yeah, yeah. Some people don't want to check out your stuff. Is it Instagram really to look at?
Yeah, it's on Spotify. All my
Yeah,
stuff's on
yeah.
really, yeah, yeah, yeah. Or you can go onto my Instagram. There's a link on there as well.
Okay, nice one.
Mm.
All right, cheers, Eva.
Thanks, Harry.